Now, I'm very fortunate because I have a lovely guest to appear on the program today, and I'll just switch her on so that she can hear me. All right, that's good. She's just giving me the thumbs up there. She's a lady she's actually the CEO of Little Wings, and Clare Pearson is her name. Now, Little Wings is a non-profit organisation here at Bankstown Airport that provides free, professional and safe flight and ground transport services for sick children, so in rural and regional New South Wales. So they do an absolutely fabulous job. And I'm going to turn it over to Clare now to just tell us a little bit about maybe how Little Wings got started. First off, hello Clare, and you're very welcome. Thank you for joining me on the program today.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Yes, so Little Wings was actually established in 2012, and it was born out of a need with the oncology unit at Westmead Children's Hospital, where we were seeing a lot of children across the state of New South Wales needing to come in on a regular basis, and many of those on a weekly basis to access their chemotherapy that isn't able to be administered in their hometowns. So we had a pilot who had a passion and a spare plane, and the partnership was born, and there was Little Wings. And today we have 3 planes in our fleet, all of which we own. And we have 10 volunteer pilots, all of them first captains with the large airlines that commit their time, as well as about 15 drivers in Sydney and Newcastle to support in accessing the hospitals.
Okay, that's wonderful. Just to get it into perspective for people, I might just ask you if you wouldn't mind just throwing a few stats at us, if you wouldn't mind. So, passengers transported, what do you break that down to? A yearly thing or weekly, or what do you do as far as that goes there?
So on the average week we do about 12 flights. This has varied during coronavirus, of course. But yeah, on average about 12 flights, supporting 12 families. Each family might have up to 4 family members that would attend, because it's important that mum and dad or siblings might be able to attend as well. And in 2019 we did 471 flights.
Okay, and so sort of the total number of families, what would that be altogether?
Since inception?
Yes.
Is nearly 400 families that we've supported.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. And in that time, what would you say if you totaled up the journeys, the number of kilometres, get any idea about how much that we're talking about there?
We're just short of 3 million kilometres at this point in the air.
Wow.
So fantastic. Yeah, it's huge for a little organisation like us.
Yes. And that's just in the air, isn't it? We're not even talking about your ground transport of getting people to hospital, etc. Yeah. Now, most important thing is that you apparently, or Little Wings, is a finalist in the inaugural HESTA Excellence Awards, and that's coming up very soon, isn't it?
It is, yes.
26th of November, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
This is actually the first time we've been nominated for this award.
Okay.
Which is really exciting to be along other services that are specific to the health industry.
Sure.
So it was a big nod for us.
So can you tell me a little bit about the HESTA Awards, what they are, and indeed roughly how many sort of organisations would be involved in going for these awards? Is it just a one-off too? You just have the inaugural win and that's it, or?
It will be, yes.
Yeah.
So it's an annual award.
Yep.
They have 3 categories and 18 nominees in total, so 6 in each category.
Yes.
And all of them are different aspects that work with either direct to the medical or allied health to support families that are going through some sort of medical journey.
Right.
So we're very, very excited. The winner does win $7,500, which would help us support another 5
very
families.
handy for you.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's great. Now, are there any particular? You've been involved with Little Wings for 12 months. You said we were talking off air. Now, is there any particular case that you've been involved in that may stick in your memory more than any of the other ones? Whether it be humorous incidents involved with it, or just that one that sort of, or possibly really tugs at your heart, maybe, I don't know.
To be honest, there's so many.
Yeah.
We're so lucky at Little Wings that we get to actually build a relationship with the family, because one of the core differences in our service is that we're not a crisis service.
Right.
We're there for the duration of their journey. So a lot of these families are accessing us for months, possibly years.
Right.
So we see them on a regular basis. And whilst that's unfortunate, we'd rather them be healthy. It also means we do get to build that rapport and understand their story.
Yes.
So one that comes to mind that's been particularly special this year, I suppose, is a young girl called Armani. She's 9. She lives in Condobolin. A few years ago, she had serious burns to 3/4 of her body, including losing her hair, and her ear completely melted off.
Oh, gee.
And she travels in on a monthly basis to have skin grafts, and she gets a number of infections at the transfer sites.
And that will be ongoing for a while, I presume, by the sound of things.
Until she's 18.
Wow.
So often people think, oh, you had a burn and you received treatment and you're moving on. But until that child is fully grown, they still have to have medical treatment. As the body moves and stretches.
Exactly.
The burnt or traumatized skin will not.
Yes. Yeah.
So we see her regularly. And it was interesting. A few months ago, she came in and she overheard me talking about how a service in the local community had sponsored her flight. And she didn't realise that. She didn't realise that people were donating to help with the flight.
Yes.
Anyway, she went home. She lives on a large sheep farm, and she started collecting all the scraps of wool around around the shearing shed.
Yes.
And she collected one full bale, and she raised $500 with the sale of that bale and donated it to Little Wings.
Isn't that lovely?
It was such a powerful gesture to see this young person
Yes.
giving back to a service that she probably didn't realise was doing all that work in the background. So we've had a lovely relationship with her, and it's been really special to see her over the year.
So what about you tell me about the different aspects of the job that you really enjoy then?
So the families are obviously my greatest passion. I myself am a trained psychologist, and I specialise in child and adolescent welfare. So to work with children and vulnerable families from across the state has been a huge passion of mine. Not to mention I grew up in Foster, so I can relate definitely to living regionally and having that struggle, I suppose, in accessing services.
Yes.
The second would have to be the volunteers. Just so incredible to see these people so selflessly give up their time and talent to help us. And to be honest, we could not function without them.
So how many volunteers are we talking about working with Little Wings?
So we're 80% volunteer-led, which is 32 volunteers. 10 of those are pilots, and the remaining are either drivers or events crew. And they've been with us long term, so we're talking, 5, 6 years, and they're really committed to what they do. And it comes across. Families often say to us, "Oh, that pilot, he really loves to fly. He really loves to help," and it's a genuine passion.
Oh, that's nice. That's lovely. Now, I believe that you just mentioned that you were a qualified psychologist. You've written a book as well too, entitled, if I got it right, "Threads of Hope."
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it. I'll get it out in a minute. Tell us a little bit about the book.
So my last role, I was the CEO for a very small anti-human trafficking organisation that supported girls in Cambodia, the youngest one being 18 months old, that had been victims of sex trafficking.
Oh, dear.
And so I would travel over to Cambodia regularly throughout the year and host cycles to raise money. So we'd cycle 400 kilometres across the country, taking schoolgirls from Australia and parents and just people that were interested in the cause. And we raised a lot of money to help those, and we were actually the sole funder for that safe house. We also run the only safe house here in Australia, which was a huge honour.
Yes.
But as you can imagine, human trafficking, but particularly sex trafficking, is not a story we hear commonly in Australia. And so we decided we'd write a book. It's a coffee table book, and we originally thought we'd just show some beautiful images. But as we started to dig a bit deeper and learn about those stories, we thought it's really important that we shine a light on these stories and share them in a palatable way, because it is hard-hitting information and storytelling. But
Did it take you long to write?
We did it in 6 months.
Wow,
so it was a very intense period of time, and we actually had an exhibition to showcase and launch the photos and the book. But it was such a privilege to be part of that, for people to really share such a personal story, and one that carries a lot of shame in Cambodia. Those girls are shunned from their communities. So we had a big focus on education and reintegration. So I was very proud to be part of that project, but also the organisation.
So is there another book coming up, do you think? Or
No, there is absolutely not. I have a newfound appreciation for anyone who illustrates or authors or takes images for a book. It's a heart project for sure, but it's intense.
Yes. Now, your time with Little Wings, I imagine you're probably a lady who doesn't have much spare time. You're probably involved with it almost 24 hours, are you?
Absolutely. And I think definitely during COVID, we were hit very hard during COVID, and it's just been all hands and hearts in.
Yes.
We've seen that across the board. So people that maybe were stood down or
Yeah.
had to be let go have still come back to support in ways that they could, including myself. So yes, if it means you need to do a drive, you put on the shirt and you do the drive. If it means you need to do the flight requests or meet with a hospital, or yesterday I had the honour of meeting with Her Excellency, the Governor of New South Wales.
Oh, nice.
Look, you just have to be an all-rounder and
Yeah.
wear every
Yes.
hat. And, that's
Yeah.
part of the joy of the project too. You understand everyone's struggle, you're part of everyone's triumph,
Yes.
and you're really part of the community.
Yes. Well, look, thank you very much for talking with me. I really appreciate that. Is there any points that you think we haven't brought up that you'd like to particularly mention, particularly about the organisation?
Well, first, thank you for having me. It's really great to be able to share our story, but probably just to highlight that we're based at Bankstown Airport.
Yes.
And we operate every day of the year with no exclusion. And we appreciate people jumping on our socials and learning a little bit more about us.
That's lovely. Perhaps then we might be able to get you back then if you happen to be in the Hester Awards. If you happen to take that out, perhaps we might get you back again. It'd be nice to
Fingers
have
crossed.
another chat with you again. Look, Claire, thank you so much for coming in today and telling us about this wonderful organisation and the work that you do.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.